Welcome to Arise to Live podcast, episode 158. Most of us struggle at managing information overload. Do you try to keep everything inside of your head? This episode is about freeing your mind of a lot of information by using cloud storage and how we can help our brain to increase productivity. Let's jump in.
We're not in the information age anymore. We are in the information management age. That insightful quote is from Chris Hardwick. He's a comedian. I tend to agree with that statement because every day so much information, data, and facts are just thrown at us, and it is overwhelming. Unless we somehow manage that information flow, our minds will spend all of its time processing data instead of making decisions that lead to action. This episode is about freeing our minds by taking advantage of cloud storage and better understanding how our brain works and how it holds information. Because ultimately, we need a clear mind to make good decisions. Hello, everyone. My name is Scott Weaver, the Arise to Live business coach, and thank you so much for listening today. I really appreciate it. Today's episode's goal is to improve your day-to-day productivity and focus by getting information out of your head and into the cloud. I ask that you please help the show grow by sharing this podcast with others. Before we get started, I would like to let you know about an important update from the Small Business Administration. This is not for everyone, but if you are a business owner with a COVID EIDL loan, again, that is the EIDL loan program, not the PPP, just the EIDL. You should be aware that their website, the Rapid COVID portal, is closing down on May 16th of this month. That is 2022. And you need to download copies of your loan documents. You should have received an email from SBA about the details, but just in case you missed that email, I want you to know that there are some big changes coming into the EIDL SBA loan program, particularly that the Rapid COVID portal is closing down on May 16th and account action is needed. If I can just get one person who didn't know about it now knows about it, it's worth this announcement. All right, let's get back to today's episode on getting information out of your head and into cloud storage. The problem that faces most business leaders and owners is that they have to keep track of a lot of things to run a company. There's payroll, there's customer requests, there's marketing data, there's money to track. And for many owners who are skilled in their trade, there's answering employee questions about small details on how to do stuff, how to do things right. And it adds up to a lot. It's been my experience that most business owners have good memories, and handling a few details is usually not a problem. However, in today's world and in a fast-growing business, we're not talking about 5 or 10 things to remember. We're talking about literally hundreds and hundreds of details to remember. That is where the problem lies. It's just so much. If all we had to do is just remember all the information, all that stuff, we probably would be okay to spend the brain power to remember all the details. But a business owner needs to do more than just remember things. Business owners need to make good decisions, and they have to create plans that actually work. Things like that are important to a business. Business owners like us, we cannot afford to devote all our brain power to the details and lose focus on our goals. So to help us to remember things, it's good to break up the details into categories or buckets, if you will. Bill Gates, the founder of Microsoft and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Bill, in his book called Business at the Speed of Thought, broke up business information into 3 sections. The first bucket is called knowledge work, and it's basically about the information and details of the job. What is needed to produce things that keep the customers happy. skill work, if you like. The second bucket is about information about the business operations. That is keeping track of employee hours, keeping track of inventory, business metrics, what equipment is needed, and so on. The third bucket category is commerce. The sending the invoices and getting paid, logging into your bank account, paying your suppliers. That interface between different businesses, especially on the commerce, the money side. Each one of these three business areas of knowledge work, business operations, and commerce has a tremendous amount of things to remember. And for a business owner to remember all these things at the same time, I think that's very difficult, if not impossible. Personally, I have to focus my mind in just one of the categories at a single time. Otherwise, I can't make good decisions. And that is the main point of this episode. Don't waste brain power trying to remember and track everything inside your head. Use the tools available to help you remember things and store things, then grab the information when it's actually needed. It's sort of like a on-site construction worker with a tool belt. The tool belt only has the tools that are needed at that time. The rest of the tools, well, they're stored in the truck and easily accessible if they are needed. In a similar way, carrying only the information in your head for the immediate task or decision at hand and storing the rest of the information on the cloud storage, that is one way to increase your productivity and to increase your performance. So in today's world, having two places to store stuff and details is a good thing. And when it's done right, it allows your brain to do two things it naturally does. First one is create buckets or compartmentalize things. And the second thing is to create what is called association maps or hash mapping. I'll explain that in a bit. Have you ever noticed how mechanics working under a car just knows exactly where the tools are with looking? He just reaches over and grabs one while still being focused on the work. Or have you looked at the science behind why when a person is working on a computer with two monitors, they are more productive than a single monitor? One of the reasons is how our brain works. And our brain likes to compartmentalize, put information, and do things to separate things. I like to think of it as the brain creating a work area and an information area. And it can keep those separate and allow the processing power, the brain power, to focus on the work area. When you do that, you don't have to analyze, and think about the information. You just do. To be productive, we want our brains mostly in the work area and just referring to the information area when we need it. So the problem with too much information in our head at the same time is that our brain stays in the information area too much and not enough in the work area. So having your brain compartmentalize is helpful when it is done right. Like Bill Gates saying there's 3 business buckets of knowledge work, business operations, and commerce. Diving a little deeper, the brain often operates by association. That is, thinking about one thing leads to another thing that is similar to the very first thing. In computer programming world, this is called hash mapping or hash table. There is a topic key that points to the details about the topic. But only the key topic is kept in memory. The rest is stored and only retrieved when needed. And the brain kind of works like that. Perhaps an example would be best. Let me say the words blue tick coonhound. You're probably asking, well, I was running. What did he say? What is going on? What does that have to do with anything? That is an example of not having an association map. However, if I first said the word dog, followed by the official dog of the state of Tennessee is the blue tick coonhound, things start to make better sense. a picture comes up of a hound dog chasing raccoons, and that is somehow a crazy tradition in Tennessee. Another example of how an association map works, this is one that I personally use. When I tell myself I'm meeting a client in Nashville in an hour, my brain automatically forgets about my West Coast client and brings up the associated information about the Nashville client. I have now created a specific work area and information in my brain so I can be at my best. But it goes farther than that. This is where I use cloud storage to be useful. I let the cloud storage keep the information about my clients, the contact information, things like that, what problem we were trying to address. And then I access that information through my phone when I'm traveling or my laptop. I don't need to memorize addresses and phones or even how to get to the meetings. I let my technology tools do the work. So instead, I am thinking about who I'm talking about. How can we get the most out of the meeting? And I'm not worrying about the details of how to get there. I use this so much. This is kind of embarrassing. But last year or so, I've been off to a meeting, and I'm halfway there realizing that I don't know exactly where I'm going because I forgot to load it into my cell phone. All I can say is thank God for Siri bailing me out of those times. And that's another reason to have easily accessible storage. The point here is that storing information on the cloud can help your brain work better by creating an info area that is small and a large work area. So going a little bit into the practical side, it may be worthwhile just clarifying what is the cloud. We hear it all the time. My definition is very simple. It is basically a faraway computer that you're connected to through your internet router box or cell service. Of course, there's more technical definition, like it's a network of computer service and computing service all on the internet. However, in this episode, we are just specifically talking about some big bad hard disk that stores your stuff on the internet. And we also use the word cloud storage. Some common brands for cloud storage are Dropbox, Microsoft OneDrive, Google Drive, Amazon, etc. There's also a number of lesser known brands that still do good jobs. There's iDrive or pCloud or NordLocker. Just a brief research, there's over 90 companies providing cloud storage. Each one of these companies has their pluses and minuses. They will emphasize integration or just simply bulk storage. So think about what your company needs, what you need, and match up your particular situation is to the company that serves you best. I am able to access my information from the cloud from my desktop, my laptop, a web browser, and my phone. Even more, the folder or directory structure that I use is the same on each of those devices. So I know exactly where to find my stuff, and I don't have to remember other than the one thing. And I'll give a plug for having a smartphone with a big screen here. I have found that very useful because I can access my cloud storage, and on my phone, I've even updated websites and regularly do Photoshop. And it's right there in my hand wherever I am. And that is very convenient. And I'm not worrying about, I should have did this, or do I need to go back to the office and get the desktop to do the heavy duty Photoshopping. And it's like, no, I can do nearly everything wherever I am. I personally use Dropbox because it has some integration features across iPhone and Windows computers. I also use shared folders for my team, and it fits my working style. I should say that my brother-in-law is really big on Microsoft OneDrive, and he's always telling me to use that. And I have a good friend that says Google Drive is the most convenient. I should be using that. So the point here is that there is a cloud storage provider that will fit your workflow, and just do a little research, figure out what works best. the best cloud storage is the one you use. So definitely use whatever you have available. Okay, I better recap this episode before I get too deep in the technology weeds. Again, in today's world, we are just bombarded by information, data so much that it just overwhelms us and overwhelms our brain. So information management is very important to stay on top of our game. And using the tool of cloud storage to store excess information and the details about our business, we are actually using technology to help our brain function better. And when our brain functions better, we focus and able to make better decisions and better plans. Our brain naturally creates buckets or compartmentalizes information, and it also creates association maps. We can take advantage of that with some preparation. And doing so, we increase productivity by allowing our minds to have a large work area inside and a smaller information area. And that keeps us on track. We don't want to have too much information in our brain. By setting up a cloud storage workflow that is very accessible, we offload that information that would be stored inside of our heads, and that is a good thing. For this offloading is to organize folders in the cloud storage, and the suggestion I'm making is to start with what Bill Gates and his book suggested, to have information buckets in 3 areas: knowledge work, business operation, and commerce. Of course, pick names that best describe your business, but remember to organize about how your brain works. My challenge to you is to review your information management, your information workflow, and to see if you can gain productivity by taking extra information out of your brain and relaxing, knowing that you can access that information anytime you want. The trick is to get the technology to work seamless with your work style and your thinking. When you can manage business information to your advantage, you arise to live.
This year has brought a lot of changes, but many business owners struggle to find focus time to update their future business destinations, and so start to drift off course. Your future business, your future company, and your employees are so important, you must have a solid vision to where you are leading your company. Scott has a vision story coaching package that speeds up the process and provides accountability on your focus time. If you know that you need to update your vision and where you are going, don't delay anymore. Please reach out to Scott at arisetolive.com/vision and get your company on the right path.